Welcome to Rauta's Black Metal Reviews. This time we go to Finland, and in one particular area in Finland, to the city known as Kuopio, which has been bringing us black metal bands ever since the first era of, early 90s and all that stuff. Mentioning bands like Baratrum and, even closer, bigger area, I guess, bands like Dark Woods might be trusted and so forth. Kuopio has been putting out these bands like ever since. And one of the newer ones is this band I'm gonna talk about today, which is here with their second album, Omega Sermon. So Obcasus is now out with the 2025 release, released late October 25 after their first album about 4 years ago. Time really flies, can't always remember that one. Now, while a lot of people have moved out of Kuopio region to other parts in Finland and bringing a lot of interesting bands, the scene keeps going on and interesting bands like this keep popping up, which is exactly a very good idea, a good excuse to talk about it. Now, this album was sent to me by the band itself, released to Wolfmond Records recently. This band showcases very 90s inspired style of black metal, melodic, fast tempo, and not shy of using keyboards. But even that being mentioned, while there is a strong amber vibe in a way to this whole stuff, calling it symphonic black metal might be a little bit too much. But this still reminds me of Emperor and the like of the early days. So coming from Kuopio, started in 2017, this band quickly ventured to the first demo in 2018, and 3 years later, 2021, Omega Prophet debut album came out, which I reviewed back in the days. Now 4 years later, the band is here to continue their path, and for better or worse, pretty much continuing with the path they started with the first album. I'm saying they started with that one rather than the demo, because demos are demos and as such not as important in terms of the whole thing as the albums. Now, Omega Prophet was pretty promising one, but not really totally nailing it, because after all, while it was very easy to listen to and enjoy, it didn't really do anything groundbreaking, revolutionary, or more so, didn't include that great songs. So definitely a decent album, quite good in fact, but still missing some things. And pretty much Omega Sermon is, following the very same path. Everything they do is pretty much done nicely, but there are still some minor flaws. I'm emphasizing the word minor because there are not really too much to bitch about, of course, which I'm happy about. Now, the album is about 43 minutes, including only 2 short tracks, which is intro and interlude. The rest of the songs, well, they're quite lengthy. The shortest one of them being 6 minutes. The rest of them about almost 8 to more than 9 minutes, which means they are definitely overextending their stay sometimes, because none of these riffs are exactly that good that you need a 10-minute tracks to go with it. I'm not saying bigger, lengthier, compositions is not like bad idea per se, but let's be honest about it. When you're just going too much for too long time, the same idea, unless you have really killer ideas, it might be a good idea to do a little bit more compact. I mean, leave before it's too late, what I'm trying to say here. Now, there are a couple of good things worth mentioning with Obcasus, and they are, first and foremost, really good production that fits the music. Now, while production is obviously less important than the songwriting, it's worth mentioning that in this case they have really nailed it. First of all, it gives a lot of room to the whole thing here. I mean, whether we're talking about guitar works, drums, keyboards, and whatnot, everything has its place, and it's not like feeling too stuffed. There's enough clarity to keep space, room for each instrument, and that's important when the tempo is quite high and you have these keyboards doing as important work as the guitars. So in my opinion, production in such a release like this is very important. Now, on top of the rather typical raspy vocals, which are just fine, but nothing out of ordinary, you have a little bit of female vocals, but that's more like not exactly humming, but doing the kind of a choir stuff, which is not that much, singing with words and all. So it's more like a layer in a way that keyboards are doing their job as well. Tempo is pretty high all the time, so this really gets this, fast tempo Nordic blasting in a way. So if this sounds like a Norse chord to you, circa 1995 or whatever, yeah, that's pretty accurate description. Obviously, because of the more modern production and all, there are differences. But this is definitely closer to the 1990s kind of a black metal with melodic things and keyboards and whatnot than any of the more modern, like dissonant bands and those that are post-black metal or whatever. So if you're already a fan of the given band, you like the first CD, this is must-have. Now, if you're a little bit shy to figure out like, oh, I'm not sure if I really like the 1990s kind of a black metal, proceed with caution. I think this is good enough album to give it a go. It's definitely worth listening to, but don't expect the next big thing yet. I think these guys are pretty much working on it, because I think what they are doing is really like taking the next crucial step in their career. But this album is not really, the cigar album, like there's this place like no cigar but close. So definitely good, quite good of an album and worth listening to. Links are included in the description box, so check it out and hope you enjoy it.